You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options. Facebook.com/TheOptionsInsider or via questions at TheOptionsInsider.com.
Mark Longo here from The Options Insider, and I'm breaking into your regularly scheduled program to let you know about a group and an event that I think may interest a lot of you. I know a lot of our readers and our listeners out there are interested in using and applying their options and risk management expertise in a lot of interesting new areas. And maybe you want to become a fund manager or an asset manager. Maybe you want to create a financial technology startup or become an educator. There's a lot of interesting ways you can apply that expertise. And if that sounds like you, well, then I have a group you may be interested in joining. It's called the Options Alliance. We're a group of active financial entrepreneurs and startups. We have a conference every year that explores all of the issues that are important to new startups and new endeavors in this space, including how to market your new venture, how to grow your AUM. Of course, it's a very important metric if you are an asset manager, and perhaps most importantly, how to fund all of those great new endeavors. It's a really unique event. There's nothing else like it out there. So if that sounds like something that might interest you, then clear your calendar for Monday, December 8th, and join us at the Arditi Center for Risk Management right here in Chicago. You can review the full agenda and reserve your seat at www.optionsalliance.org. And now I'll return you to your regularly scheduled program.
Now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market. From unusual activity alerts to market updates and trading strategies. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the option block with your host, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com and co-hosts Alex the Viceroy Jacobson from Options Express, Uncle Mike Tosaw from RCM Asset Management, Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi, and Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian from OptionPit.com. The Option Block is brought to you by Options Express by Charles Schwab. Don't spend time worrying about your broker at Options Express by Charles Schwab. Security, stability, and account protection are the most important responsibilities to our customers. Secure account access, enhanced financial protection, entrusted with over $7 billion in customer assets. Established financial stability. Options Express by Charles Schwab lets you trade with confidence. Stocks, options, and futures all in one account. Trade with a specialist. Visit www.optionsexpress.com to open your free account. Options Express by Charles Schwab is a member of FINRA, SIPC, and NFA.
All right, everybody. That rockin' tune means it is time once again for the Option Block, everyone's favorite bi-weekly source for all things options related. My name is Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the ever-expanding, ever-scintillating Options Insider Radio Network. 13 programs for you guys to choose from, including nearly 400 archived episodes of the Option Block. That's nearly 400 hours of options goodness for your listening pleasure. A lot of great nuggets in there, even from the early aspects of the show. Just because the trading block isn't current doesn't mean there isn't a lot of other good stuff in there. I know you guys like to peruse the archives, but if you haven't done that in a while, I encourage you to surf through because there's a lot of great nuggets. Might even try to start pulling some of those out and sending those out in a separate feed so people can see all the different aspects. If you just joined us in the past year or so, you missed a lot of great content. We want to make sure you guys have access to that. And of course, you can find all of that great content in a number of different places, including the mothership, theoptionsinsider.com, from whence all of this good stuff flows, as well as in iTunes and Stitcher and Aha Mobile on the radio side. And of course, our mobile app available for iOS, Android, and the Fire OS. No shortage of ways for you guys to get a hold of this great stuff. And unfortunately, it's that time of year, so the Viceroy has been struck down with the flu, can't make it today, so no fancy hats. on today's program, where we got two able stand-ins, starting off with the man beaming in from the Duchy, nay Principality, nay Hamlet, known as St. Charles, Illinois. You know him, you love him, as Uncle Mike Tosaw from RCM Wealth Advisors. Uncle Mike, welcome back to the show, sir.
All this Duchy talk, it's definitely been intriguing hearing all these references to the Duchy. But nonetheless, I'm always excited to be here. Nor rain, nor sleet, nor snow. The option block will move on.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure the people over there, the good folks at St. Charles, very happy I keep elevating their town to such lofty, lofty goals.
You have. We have your picture up on the wall at the town hall.
All 6 visitors last year came from the option block. I want them to know that and acknowledge that. And speaking of scenic parts of Illinois, we are also joined by someone beaming in from parts unknown. Could be downtown in their worldwide HQ. Could be out in the scenic/sleepy burb known as Riverside. Could be many places. Could be a commuter train on the metro. We never know with him. It is none other than Mr. Mark Sebastian from OptionPit.com, the Greasy Meatball himself, back on the old program. Mr. Greasy Meatball, how you doing, sir? It's been a while.
It's been a while. I'm doing great. And, today, if we were doing this an hour ago, you would have caught me at the worldwide headquarters. But today, I am currently coming to you live from remote headquarters in the sleepy suburb of Riverside, Illinois.
Yes, the sleepy hamlet. One more time, block, can't talk. Too many shows today. As you have reminded us many times, the L does go there, so it is at least within the environs of downtown Chicago.
Yes, it's along it's the sleepy version of Evanston. If Evanston was a black hole of commerce, then it would be Riverside.
The sleepy version of Evanston. It's a great joke that a handful of people in the local area will get. But still, well done, sir. I'm sure we've attributed many visitors to Riverside as well over our time here on the old program. All right, with the team mostly assembled, one chair missing but not forgotten, we shall keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block. If you're just joining us for the first time, first off, where have you been? It's been nearly 4 years, but hey, we welcome you nonetheless. And, of course, this is the portion of the program where we break down what was moving, what was shaking, what caught our eye today. Not a heck of a lot unless you're really playing out there in the tech sector. That really seemed to be leading the charge today. The NASDAQ up nearly a full percentage point out there on the Qs to close at 104.71. S&P and Dow, bit of laggards compared to that, only up about 0.3 of a percentage point on the S&P and just barely fractionally unched on the day in the Dow. Of course, VIX cash beginning the long, slow decline it will inexorably have throughout most of the week as we approach the big holiday. Closing today, or trading today, I should say right now, 12.66, off about a quarter of a point. And Mark, this has been a while since you've joined us. I will give you pride of place, sir. What caught your eye in today's swirling whirlwind of activity?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a little bit of a VIX crush today, wasn't it? They took this stuff down, and I don't blame them. What's coming up in the next couple of weeks that really makes you want to own premium? And the answer is about nothing. I don't think we have anything that is going to cause really any interest until when? Middle of next week. So we've got a decent amount of time that basically needs to be, it needs to get stripped out.
To be squeezed brutally from the marketplace. And they've already started that. That's always the question on these holiday weeks. When they're going to do it, when they're going to pull the trigger. They're not wasting any time this week. They're like, we're doing it now. It's coming out on Monday. They're not even waiting for Wednesday. That's always the common debate. When they're going to take the holiday weekend out, particularly a long weekend like this week. And, of course, with half days and things like that really gumming up the works. But, yeah, they're not holding out any hope for anything happening this week. Really just squeezing the juice. I'd imagine probably a narrative we're going to see continue to play out over the course of the week. Unless something crazy happens, a bomb goes off, some other macro shoe drops somewhere. You're right, not a heck of a lot really lurking on the horizon to juice some vol back into these here markets. Uncle Mike, do you take a dissenting view? What's your take here on what you saw today? What caught your eye?
Not too much of a dissent. I mean, it just right now in years past, one thing that I always like to think of is I'm just looking at the S&P, for example. It's up just under 6 points on the day today. In years past, that was a larger move, but now just because it's at such high levels, it's really not that large of a move. And we were a little bit higher during the day today, so we didn't exactly close on the highs. But I think just we're kind of waiting until seeing what happens on Black Friday.
Yeah, we've got essentially realized vol, 10-day realized vol right there out there in the S right now at about a whopping 4%. So when you have levels like that, it's not surprising that people are by no means hesitant to crush the bid, even when VIX is already down in the low teens. Clearly still a sizable discrepancy between realized and implied. Something I tweeted about last week from the Global Derivatives Conference. A lot of people said, hey, that's crazy. But it's not when you see things like this. When realized vol is a 4, VIX is around a 13. There's still some room there to trade. Interesting stuff cooking over there. Before we move on, Mark, anything really lighting up the pit chat these days? Anything really catching the eye of your mentees and members over there?
Yeah, I mean, Apple's off to the races. And then one thing we're watching is financial vol is getting absolutely torched. And believe it or not, Tesla implied volatility is in the floor right now. Amazon as well. So some of the quote-unquote loved stocks are seeing their implied volatilities kind of collapse, which typically means that they're going to sit here for a little bit and then it's going to be seriously off to the races sometime soon. So I think we've got some of these love stocks getting set up for a major pop. Sans GoPro, who's about to have a nice little thing we like to call a lockup period end, which could cause all sorts of problems for it.
Yeah, I'm looking here at the implied across the spectrum here in Tesla, and you're right, it's hovering in the mid 30s for front month implied, which is pretty low comparatively. Just a month or two ago, that was almost double that. So you're right, comparatively, that is a relative bargain for all of the premium shoppers out there. You can't really say that too often about names like Tesla, that they're a premium bargain, but perhaps these days, especially given what we've seen just in very recent history. You don't have to go back that far to see implied. It's heck of a lot higher than that. That makes you kind of wonder what's really lurking out there. And Uncle Mike, of course, Mark just alluded to it. We did see, again, the prolonged rally in your favorite holding, Apple. I know a lot of people are going to want to know, so I'll put it to you. Any adjustments, any developments you're making out there in that prestigious Apple portfolio? Are you still pretty much long stock, long put, and maybe throwing around some near-term put spreads to pay for everything?
We have done a few things. Today we didn't do anything. We have done a few things in terms of some put spreads. We've taken some profits on some verticals. What I'm looking to do probably in the next day or two is something along the lines of perhaps a put calendar, but still not sure at this point because it just keeps going up. I'm just going to sit there and watch it go up. It's that easy.
You make it all look so easy, sir.
Believe me, it's not.
Well, yeah, those are kind of the big thoughts we're mulling over here going into this extended holiday week, of course. What we're seeing from an implied vol perspective, what we're seeing for this holiday weekend, how soon it's going to come out. Answer already happening, listeners, if you've been waiting for that, as well as a few other blips that have been catching our eye. Speaking of things that are catching our eye, it's time to move on into the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Odd Block. This is indeed the portion of the program where we break down what's catching our eye over here at the old mothership, theoptionsinsider.com, from an unusual activity perspective. I'm going to kick this off with a name most of you are probably familiar with, even though we haven't talked about it a lot in the old Odd Block, certainly not lately. This is TIVO, ticker symbol, surprise, surprise, TIVO, or TIVO. Closing today pretty much exactly unched, $12.94 off a penny on the day. This is the name that does, as you might expect, given its name recognition, decent volume for an Odd Block candidate, about 1,100 contracts a day, doing about 10x that, about 11,000 going up today. And the lion's share of that activity, if you look up the option chain for today, listeners, you'll see it all pretty much there in one fell swoop. These are the DC12 calls. That's why I said 12s. These are in the money calls, listeners. About $1 in the money. They went up when we profiled them this morning about 9,300 times in one massive block for $1.19. Total of nearly 10,000 going up on the day, about 9,900 and some change. So about 600 more piled in after the fact. That came in later on. There was a little bit of a lockup on the strike, so there was a little bit of back and forth there. Some of that could have been selling towards the end. Looks like the bulk of it was buying, and we also saw some stock going up with it, about 725,000 shares, so went up on a pretty much delta neutral basis. So here's a guy, looks like he could be either replacing some stock in his portfolio or perhaps leaning into some other spreads that we talked about here many times on this show. Doing stock with your underlying hedging on a delta neutral basis changes the tone, changes the intent behind the trade significantly. Mr. Sebastian, this one catch your eye over there in your pitch chat. What do you think about our friend putting up about 10,000 in the money calls here in TIVO?
Yeah, it was kind of an odd trade, wasn't it?
That's why we call it the odd block, sir.
Yeah, it was kind of a synthetic put. I don't know why he went that way. Maybe it was a way of covering a short position that he or she had on, something along those lines. Really no way to tell, but that's kind of the best I could figure out when I was looking at it, because it was a little bit nonsensical.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'd be hard-pressed to think of many scenarios where I would go this route for this particular, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, of course. If you are hedging, maybe. I mean, he kind of scrambled to get it done. He kind of paid, at the offer a little bit worse, actually, but he's a size trade, so you kind of understand that. They kind of offered a little bit better now. So, but still, this guy obviously wanted to get it done quick, and wanted to get it done in the money here. So you're right. It probably could be a hedge against some short stock or perhaps some other interesting type trades that are just odd. This is an odd one. Again, that's why we followed up in the old odd block. And we'll pay attention to this one because it's only about a month or so out. So we'll easily put this one in the to be watched category and come back and see how this guy's trade actually plays out. Now we got to move on to another name, one we've talked about before, recently actually. This is the name that's been in the headlines, making some news of late, at least from an unusual activity perspective. This is Demand Media Inc., ticker symbol DMD. Closing today, $5.82, up about 15 cents, or nearly 3% on the day. This is the name lately, doesn't do, aside from the spurts we've mentioned, doesn't do a heck of a lot of average volume on a given day, doing less than 300 contracts a day, doing 7,200 today. So size paper yet again here in the name we're profiling, at least comparatively for this name. What caught our eye today was yet again some very near-term, pretty much at-the-money type trading. In particular, this was the DC6 calls going up for 40 cents, paper buy-in 6,000, about 6,500 times. It went up in one block, which is interesting and worthy of note in and of itself. The total of about 7,100 have gone up on the day, so about another 600 or so piling in after the fact. It is tempting to attribute this to some of that open interest on that strike. There is about 6,200 contracts open on this strike. This is paper buying, by the way, listeners, for 40 cents. But there's so much extra paper going up here that it probably is someone piling in, opening some new call buying positions, looking for Demand Media to make a nice spurt here going into middle to late December. We profiled similar activity not that long ago. This was about 2 weeks ago almost. We profiled someone buying about 3,000 of these D6 calls earlier. So clearly those were for 35 cents. So again, this person just continuing to love this strike and loving it very, very near term here. This is not a March or May of next year play. This is D6 calls going up for size. Mr. Sebastian, what's your take on our friend continuing to pile in here on these D6 strike?
He's got an axe to grind. It's that simple. And, until he's completely grinded his axe down, he may just keep coming after these things.
Yeah, I mean, he's put on a bunch already, and he's shown no reticence to gobble up more.
He'll take as many as he can.
He is still hungry for those D6s.
Indeed.
So, yeah, this is another one to file in the to be watched because we already have, and we already are watching it now because more paper is going up. But, yeah, this is an interesting one. This one's got to move quickly and pretty aggressively for him, for all this paper to work out. He's putting a lot of money where his mouth is on this line. So we'll pay attention to demand media, see if there is indeed a commensurate pop to make our friend here a happy, happy camper. All right, and we're going to wrap things up here in the Odd Block today with a name we haven't talked about in quite some time. And this is Tiffany, of course, ticker symbol TIF, T-I-F, closing today $105 and a penny, up about $1.10. So they win the award for the most premium name of the day from an underlying perspective. Anyway, this name doing about 3,200 contracts a day, as you might expect for, again, a well-known brand out there doing a lot of paper today. 50,000 contracts to be precise. I should mention tomorrow morning are Tiffany's earnings, so if you wanted to get in on the earnings action, you had to do it today, and a lot of people clearly did. There was activity pretty much across the board. Size activity, 4,000 of the DEES 90 puts, 6,000 of the DEES 105s going up, 4,000 of the DEES 110, 7,000 DEES 115. So you pick a strike, particularly in the near term, there was some action. What we chose to profile was a little bit longer term than the DEES. In particular, it was the Jan 2015 110 calls going up on essentially one mega block for 12,269. That's when we profiled it this morning, going up for $2.12. Looks like paper selling. They went up through the bid. As the day progressed, another roughly 3,000 or so piled into the tune of nearly 15,000 going up total on that strike. All of that on open interest of just about 1,400 contracts. So clearly this is a guy coming out and saying, I want to get some stocks off and some calls off, I should say, before this earnings report tomorrow. So to the tune of 15,000 contracts. Clearly this is an aggressive play, and certainly the most sizable trade we saw going up out here in this sea of paper in Tiffany today, accounting for about a quarter or so of the overall volume going on out there today. So interesting stuff. Mr. Sebastian, take us home. What's your take here on our friend, this size overrider here in Tiffany?
You know, I thought, what about overriding Tiffany's? And she said, I remember the sale, and as I recall, I think we both kind of liked it. So I guess that's one overwrite we got.
Is that a little late for you in that 90s?
Come on, Deep Blue something? No, I don't think so. I think that might be early 90s, my friend.
Yeah, it is, but still, you like 80s. So.
I am an 80s guy, but that's cheesy enough to certainly be of that
That's
hilt.
True. That is cheeseball to the hilt.
It's terrible, but you know, here's what I'll say is they took vol down the day before earnings. So I think those looking for a major breakout move are likely to be disappointed. This guy clearly what he's looking to do is trying to harvest some premium against what's probably a long position and potentially kind of add to it. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking was going on here. And the stock was up all day. So it was a good day for this guy. But some real serious volume today, even if they did dismantle volatility.
Yeah, it seems to be a theme today, dismantling vol across the board. Unless you're in Tesla, then it's time perhaps to scoop some vol. Nonetheless, it's time for us to keep on rolling with the show right on into the Xpress Block.
The Xpress Block, brought to you by Options Express by Charles Schwab. Options Express by Charles Schwab lets you trade where and when you want for every level of trading. From advanced charting, free daily trading ideas, and free educational resources. Options Express by Charles Schwab is the online broker for all traders. Best of all, Options Express by Charles Schwab lets you trade stocks, options, and futures all in a single account on powerful yet easy-use trading platforms, including mobile devices. Visit optionsexpress.com for your free account. Options Express by Charles Schwab is a member of FINRA, SIPC, and NFA.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Xpress Block. This is usually the portion of the show where the Viceroy dons his fanciest of fancy caps and takes us behind the scenes into the realm known as Options Express. By Charles Schwab. As I mentioned, the Viceroy struck down by the flu today, so unable to be our tour guide for today. So what we like to do in his absence is we dive into some of the cool tools on the old OX platform, including one of our favorite games here on the show, Uncle Mike's nemesis, the trading patterns guessing game. So we're going to bring it back today. Uncle Mike, since you feared your track record has been mixed of late, I will allow you to pick our underlying du jour for today's game.
Oh, I'm going to go...
Pick something super obscure just to screw with him.
Let's see.
I'd like to know what it's about to go with,
Mollycorp, MCP.
There you go. Take it.
This will be a test of the extension of the trading patterns data. Yes, this is a $1 name, listeners.
Hey, with 120 vol. Can't lose there.
Wow. Okay, this will be an interesting one, listeners. All right, since you got to choose first, Uncle Mike, I will allow Mr. Sebastian the pride of place of perhaps diving into this maelstrom first. Mr. Sebastian, what is your choice for the number one correlated, quote-unquote, underlying to this underlying here, Mollycorp?
All right. What is that ticker of that dollar stock that was making the sapphire glass? Is it like T-Stat, TSAT, or something like that? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'll just give you the glass guess, and I will look here, and unfortunately, I do not see anything glass related on this list. Let this be a lesson or a hint to all of you. No glass. So if you're leaning glass, Uncle Mike, you can put all those glass guesses away.
Okay, good. I'll go with Groupon.
Okay. I don't even know if this name even does, so that could be related. I don't know. I'm just laughing for the sheer fun of it. Let's see here. Groupon, no. As far as I can see, I do see some relation to some of these names here. Others are kind of out of left field.
I've got one. Are you ready?
Go for it.
I'm going to go PAL, North American Palladium Ltd.
I will say this for you. On number 6 on the list, there is a metals-related name. And I will just leave that alone. So there are metals on this list, not the mini metals and not the one you named, but still, it's not a bad venture. There is one metals name if you want to go that way, Uncle Mike.
What, GDX?
Nope.
Okay, so that crosses off my guess. So let's see. I'll go SLW, Silver Wheaton.
I'll just give it to you. SLV, close enough.
Oh, okay. I was about to say Newmont Mining.
So there you go. Number 6.
Silver Wheaton, Silver and Silver Wheaton. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's close enough. He wasn't. If you keep going this way, we'll never get any of them. So we got at least.
I'm gonna throw on now. I'm gonna go for VXX/UVXY.
Interesting. Always not a bad left field guess when you're not sure what the heck this one is related to. Not on this one, unfortunately. But yeah, not much else I can say really, other than no. Uncle Mike, this is the beast of your making, so you get to go next, sir.
No, I love it.
Let's see. Companies. So I'm thinking companies that looks good but have really gotten pounded. I'll go with 3D Systems, Triple D.
Wow. Are you playing the home game yourself? Are you peeking on the old OX
I am
platform?
not peeking.
Not bad, sir. Number 8, 3D Systems. 37.5 right now. Yeah, wow. I am moderately impressed by that, sir. All right, Mark, see if you can match that.
I'm gonna go with GoPro because it's that's the type of group there. GoPro or like a FireEye or somebody like that.
Not a bad guess. You think they might be somehow related, just in terms of the sheer madness of this underlying, but no,
yes.
it is not related. I'll give you guys some hints to help you narrow it down a little bit. There are a few names in here that could fall into the food-related genre.
Really?
Food related, huh?
I got it. Grubhub.
Not bad, but no.
Let's see. Well, food related, that means...
Think food manufacturing. I'll go even deeper.
What, like Dean Foods?
He's stealing all your guesses here, Uncle Mike, but no. The answer is no. Uncle Mike, you get 2 now.
Food manufacturing.
Crap? Sorry, I'll just keep guessing. If you're going to take your time, I'm going to go Kraft and Mondelez. Take that.
All right, I'll take your Kraft and Mondelez, and I'll raise you McDonald's.
Not bad. Let's think more on the dessert and other
Baker
type
Square.
of products.
No, it's a restaurant.
It's a restaurant. They also have a theme park in Pennsylvania.
Oh, Hershey.
There we go.
Wow.
So Mark is now on the board. Just to recap, listeners, we have number 4, Hershey, number 6, iShares, Silver Trust, SLV, of course, and number 8, 3D Systems out of the blue. So that shows you what this list is. That's pretty much everywhere, all in sundry. This shows the power of the Trading Patterns platform, as well as the diversity of the OX clientele here, trading everything under the sun. Let's see. I'll give you a hint for the number 1 name. It is a product both of you are aware of, trades very, very high volume, and is a future.
S&P E-mini.
Yep, there you go. The E-mini, the DEES E-mini to be precise, doing number 1 here. Number 2, also a food manufacturing related name. I'll give you another hint. They are in the, shall we say, health energy bar spectrum.
Health energy bar spectrum.
Oh, like energy bar.
They used to be very big on the floor of the SIBO when I was down there.
Oh, like, is that like the Cliffs? Not
yes,
Cliffs Natural.
There we go. Cliffs,
yes.
They're
not is Cliffs Natural Resources actually a health bar?
They make the Cliffs bar, I'm pretty sure. Isn't that them?
See, I thought they were an actual mining company.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
Oh, they might be. Hold on. Let me look it up really quickly. I just lumped them in. This list is so crazy.
You assumed they were the Cliff Bar people?
This list is so crazy. I thought they were the Cliffs Bar people because there's Hershey's. The only thing that made sense. Let's see. Cliffs Natural Resources. Let's see. It'd say natural.
Which would make more sense for Molycorp if you think about it.
Yes, it would. Oh, yes, they are a mining one. All right. So it was a good guess. So it was not food. So I misled you then with the food related.
Resources.
That is my. So we got. So here we go. To recap really quickly, list. We'll get one more guess each. E-mini number 1, Cliffs Natural Resources, makers of those delicious Cliffs bars, and of course mining and manufacturing equipment. At number 2, number 3 we haven't guessed. Number 4, Hershey's. Number 6, the iShares SLV, of course, and number 8, 3D Systems. So you each get one more guess. Let me see if I can give you.
I want to go something crude oil related.
And I was going to say crude oil futures. I was going to say mini crude front month.
I was going to say either crude oil, USO, or OIL.
Well, he's learning how to play the game, Mike, because he's throwing out 3 guesses at once. Unfortunately, none of those are what were crude oil? What were the other ones you said?
I said USO and OIL.
Then I retract my crude oil guess that I didn't really make.
Yeah, let him pave the way. No crude oil. I'll give you that.
All right, I'll go with natural gas front month futures.
I like that one too.
No more futures on the list. The only thing natural we have are Cliffs Natural Resources, makers of those fine, delicious energy bars. All right, now so we're going to do the whole list here, listeners. For those of you playing the home game, showing the power here of the Trading Patterns guessing game. It can even dig into such nonsense names as Molycorp. Number 1, the E-mini DEES 2014 contract. Number 2, Cliffs Natural Resources. Number 3, Bank of America.
Whoa.
So take that one. This is all over the place, this list. Number 4, Hershey. Number 5, Kiwi PLC, QIWI. Number 6, SLV. Number 7, Corn, the Corn Fund. Number 8, 3D Systems. Number 9, the Wisdom Tree, of course, ticker symbol, the High Yield Equity Fund, I should say, ticker symbol DEM. And number 10, Digital Global Inc., DGI. So there you go, listeners. I defy you from that list of non-related names to determine what Molycorp actually does, because I certainly don't know. And it's interesting little game here we like to play every now and then. So there we go, listeners. Trading Patterns guessing game. Check it out for yourself if you'd like to use this tool on an actual relative and related one more time. And check it out for yourself, listeners, if you'd like to use this tool on an actually relevant underlying of your choosing. Surf on over to optionsexpress.com to kick the tires for yourself. Meanwhile, this Monday, that means it's time for us to keep on rolling right on into the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, listeners, you know what that time means. It's time for Uncle Mike to come on down from the mountain, smoking jacket, bubble pipe, and stone tablets in hand to dispense some options, wit, and perhaps, if we're lucky, a little bit of wisdom as well. Uncle Mike, what's on store for us today in this old block of strategery?
All right, so for today's strategy block, we're going to go back in time and have a little bit of a history lesson. Back in the 1800s, Farmer John and Merchant Mike were good friends. Farmer John would frequently sell his corn to Merchant Mike. So they were having a beer at the local pub, and probably in the middle of May, and they were just kind of talking, shooting the breeze, talking about whatever people talked about back in the 1800s. And so Farmer John said to Merchant Mike, he said, "Man, I really wish, Merchant Mike, I could sell you my corn right now, but it's just not ready yet. We still have to wait till the fall till it's harvest, because I think prices of corn are so high and I'm just scared they're going to go down." And Merchant Mike said, "Well, Farmer John, we go way back and we're good friends, and I really like you and all, but quite frankly, my friend, I think you're crazy. I think corn prices are going to go far higher. And the reality of it is if I could buy your corn from you right now, I would do it. I think it would be a wonderful thing. I would gladly take this price now." So Farmer John looked at him and he said, "I got an idea, Merchant Mike. How about we agree on the price right now? And no matter what happens this fall, I'll sell it to you at this price right now. So if the price of corn falls, then I'm in the clear. I know that I'm going to get this price. And if the price of corn goes up, hey, good for you, Merchant Mike. You made a great deal." So they did a handshake deal, because that was long before they ever had contracts, I'm willing to bet. And they made the deal, and through that, the first ever futures contract was born. Now, of course, that story is just kind of an analogy. It's not exactly true. But throughout time, that became more and more of a popular thing. And through that, the Chicago Board of Trade was born, and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange was born to create futures contracts. And that's the general concept behind hedging through futures. Now, fast forward 150 years, and we live in quite a wonderful time. You can do what Farmer John and Merchant Mike were looking to do at the click of a button. So, with that being said, what Farmer John and Merchant Mike were working out was a hedge for both of them, just based upon the price itself of corn. Now, in reality, there's other factors that could get involved. Farmer John's fields could get toppled with all sorts of problems, so his specific corn wouldn't work out, and then him and Merchant Mike wouldn't have the same deal, or maybe he would get his corn stolen after he took it out of the ground. Whatever the case may be, there's always other factors. But in terms of pricing, that is something with which they hedged one another, because they both had a disagreement on where the price would be come harvest time. So in today's marketplace, one thing that we do at RCM is we hedge people that are in maybe the SPY as an example. We have a hedge position working on that. And we also have something called our strategic night portfolio, to where we have a basket of stocks with which our investor policy committee selects for various time frames. And we don't hedge the individual stocks per se, but we do hedge against a market downturn. So let's say that in theory, the S&P 500 went way down. Well, as most people know, a sinking tide lowers all boats. So if that's the case, and a lot of times, stocks can go down. Not necessarily because they're bad stocks by any means, but sinking tide can lower all boats. So one way with which we hedge against our strategic night portfolio, if it's in the hedged version that is we use put options on SPY, which I discuss upon this show very frequently. And we also will possibly use calendar spreads as means of financing them, or perhaps vertical spreads, just depending on whatever the market is giving us. So the method to the madness is that options can be used as a means of hedging. And I will leave today's lesson with something I know I've said on this show at least 10,000 times. And no, I'm not going to say there's never been a better time to sell your stocks than right now. However, that would ring true, but I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say is this. Two traders were talking to each other around the time of 2010, and they were actually at the same bar that Farmer John and Merchant Mike were at. It was their great-great-grandkids. They became traders. And so they were talking to one another, and the first trader says to the second trader, "Yeah, I've been doing real well selling these puts. I've made a great career doing this until 2008. And then I lost a lot of money selling those puts. But who could have possibly predicted the market downturn of 2008? And so the other trader looked at him and said, "The people buying those puts." So that is all for today, and happy Thanksgiving.
A little bit of historical wisdom coming from Uncle Mike there. Any pilgrim stories? Any stories of pilgrims?
So then what was the name of the series back in the late 1800s then?
The name of the series for the futures contracts traded?
No. Back in the 1800s,
He means
if they were
the bar series.
Bar. It's now called series. So what was it called back then?
Got it. I get.
That's kind of what I'm wondering.
It was I'm sure the waitresses were there, so you can go ask them.
Yeah, some of those waitresses were there. Holy cow! And you think that the drink was as stiff?
Oh, it had to have been.
You'd hope.
You'd think.
Thank you for that historical perspective there, Uncle Mike. Something to keep in mind as we look back fondly this week here in the States anyway for our Thanksgiving Day holiday. And with that, we're going to keep on rolling right on into our final segment. It's time for Around the Block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block. This is indeed the portion of the program where we break down what we're watching, what we're keeping an eye on for the rest of this week. We kind of hinted to it, alluded to it at the top of the show there in the trading block, that there isn't a heck of a lot to really keep too much of an eye on this week. The big mystery always going into these holiday weeks is when will the holiday come out? Well, we said that already. It's already starting to come out, and we should probably expect more of that to continue going into Wednesday, barring some sort of bizarre, unforeseen event happening in the marketplace. But that said, anything else perhaps catching your eye in the week to come, or perhaps even weeks to come, I'll give you that one as well, because we're not going to have a show on Thursday, so this is our prognostication for the week. Mr. Sebastian, we'll start with you. Anything at all out there really, really on your horizon?
I think it's going to be slow grind higher. I think that the VIX is about to break. Realized volatility is around 3%. So I think we could see Jared and I have been talking, Jared Woodard, on volatility. We've been talking about kind of potentially new vol regime. You've got oil vol at a multi-year high. You've got currency vols at multi-year highs. Europe's not cheap. International's not cheap. So I think that we're going to watch the VIX break one more time, and that is going to be really maybe the best opportunity to hedge for the next year. So I'm going to be watching for VIX potentially approach sub 12 and maybe threaten 11, and that is going to be an excellent time to step in and cover your bases, because I think that I really do think that they're going to take this stuff down aggressively.
Yeah, if it does get into those levels, it certainly would be a bargain. To be Black Friday sales on premium out there in the hedging land for the major indices. So something to keep in mind if that does indeed come to pass. Uncle Mike, we'll toss it to you now to round out our Around the Block. Anything you're keeping an eye on out there that's worthy of note as we roll on in? One of a show for a week, so this is your big prognostication, your big what to watch, sir.
The big what to watch? Well, definitely the Black Friday numbers are just kind of watch the news, see what happens with that. Don't go to sleep on Friday. Markets are open on Friday. That's something that a lot of people think that the markets are closed, but markets are open on Friday. So make sure that you're taking care of any weekly options and doing what you need to do along those lines. But primarily, I think the big event that we have going, besides what Mark's talking about with the VIX, I think it's Black Friday for the time being, and then take it from there.
So you'll be out there fighting the crowds, trying to get some deals at the dollar store there, Uncle Mike?
Oh, what else would a man possibly do besides go to the dollar store?
I did see, ironically, I think, something floating around of a Black Friday sale at the dollar store. And I kind of wondered, I didn't have a chance to look at it. What do they do, make it 50 cents? What is their big Black Friday deal?
I don't know.
What's going to bring you into the door if it's not $1? Oh, I was waiting for it to break the 75-cent level. Now I'm in.
Now I'm in.
All right. Enough dollar store nonsense. That's going to do it for the Around the Block segment. It's also going to do it for this episode of the Option Block. But before we go, as always, I'd like to check in with each of my cohorts here, see what they have coming up that may interest you guys in the weeks to come. Since the Viceroy couldn't make it, I will do his job for him. Coming up on December 13th, listeners, OX has a workshop down there in scenic and sunny Boca Raton, Florida. A webinar going on here with Jim Ruzan. They're going to do a bunch of stuff showing off the OX platform and actually two sessions. We're going to have an investor lab and a strategy talk. So they'll walk you through all sorts of different ways to utilize the platform. Probably maybe even touching on some of the stuff we did today with the trading patterns guessing game, a lot of other fun stuff. Maybe they won't do the game, but they'll show you how the tool works. So check that out. If you're going to be in that area on December 13th, or of course you can always find it on the website as well, optionsexpress.com to learn more. And Uncle Mike, what is coming down the pike in the land of RCM Wealth Advisors?
Couple things. We have December 10th in Miami. For more info, go to rcmfutures.com, and then I will make the same prognostication that I make every year on this exact show. By now, you should have already sold your pumpkin futures, and you need to get long Christmas tree futures, but stay away from turkey because it has no futures, especially around my family.
There you go. There you go. Your annual seasonal jokes are well applied.
That's my annual one I do every year.
Definitely done, sir. Mr. Sebastian, let's see if you can top that. What's coming down the pike in the land of the pit?
We got boot camp starting December 9th. It's going to be a good time. Use code INSIDER. Take 20% off. Go to optionpit.com/events. And then we've got, we'll be doing that both from Chicago because Andrew's going to come in town for the Special Option Alliance Industry event.
Yes, that will be a fun event. If you're listening to the show, of course, you heard the plug for it already at the top of the show. If you are going to be in Chicago on December 8th, we encourage you to swing by. The name is the Options Alliance. We talk to a lot of very targeted and active financial industry entrepreneurs, but anyone really who's interested in this space and launching a venture or perhaps learning more about this space, including how to grow, market, and most importantly, fund those ventures in the financial arena, then you want to swing by, learn more at optionsalliance.org. You can register for your seat. Should be a really fun event on December 8th. And on behalf of the Viceroy who couldn't make it, and Uncle Mike, and Mr. Sebastian, and of course myself, I want to thank all of you out there in the listening audience for downloading and streaming and subscribing to the show. And we'll see you next time right here on the Option Block.
The Option Block was brought to you by Options Express by Charles Schwab. Don't spend time worrying about your broker at Options Express by Charles Schwab. Security, stability, and account protection are the most important responsibilities to our customers. Secure account access, enhanced financial protection, entrusted with over $7 billion in customer assets. Established financial stability. Options Express by Charles Schwab lets you trade with confidence. Stocks, options, and futures all in one account. Trade with a specialist. Visit www.optionsexpress.com to open your free account. Options Express by Charles Schwab is a member of FINRA, SIPC, and NFA.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/The Options Insider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.